That there is a 2019 Volvo XC90 T8 twin engine all-wheel drive Inscription. A lot of words to describe Volvo's flagship luxury three-row SUV. And well, I have a lot to say about this thing. No, it's not new, but it continues to come back as a very interesting alternative in the segment. And well, I want to share a lot of thoughts on that. Let's begin with the basics. Base price for Momentum is $59,750. You can get it with either a T5, T6, or T8 engine power output. Next up is the R Design, which starts at $69,800, and you can get that in either T6 or T8. And then there's the Inscription, which you can either get in T6 or T8. Mine's a T8, obviously, and it starts at $71,450. But if you do select the T8, price jumps to $84,100. Yes, that's almost $13,000 for the T8. It does include a whole bunch of other kits, but that's still $13,000. And then my truck, my SUV, my XC90 is, well, equipped. 21-inch wheels, which I would definitely absolutely do because they look so right on this thing. I also have, oh, you'll see the amber Napa leather in there. It's not an extra, but it's, wow. Premium Plus package, which includes park assist, power folding mirrors, heated steering wheel. $84,000, and you still have to pay extra for a heated steering wheel. Pilot assist with adaptive cruise control, heads-up display. Moving on, Bowers & Wilkins is a big option too. And then finally the charcoal headliner. So total price $98,415. That's a lot of money. It's worth it on paper, but then we'd have to dig a little bit deeper, which is what I'm going to try and do in the most concise possible way. That doesn't usually work out very well. All right, so power hatch. It's really quick. Absolutely love that. That reveals a trunk with the third row down, about 965, 970 liters, if memory serves. I won't show you what the third row looks up. Everybody's seen it. But the trunk is very usable, very accessible. You also have this wonderful grocery thing. I love that. And this would be the place where you put the cable when you're driving around with it in the truck. Okay, so rear seat. There's the amber leather. It's just beautiful, absolutely stunning. So the two kids have their seats set up. This thing is wide enough to actually sit a third person in the middle. I mean, the seats, they look great. I'll show you in the front. Materials, again, I'll show you in the front. Love those shades. Yes, all right. So the seats, still some of the most absolutely comfortable in the business. Multi-way adjustable. Here's how you synchronize for the lumbar, for the lower adjustment by toggling up and down and then selecting up and down. The wood, it's beautiful. It's so lovely. Stunning grills for Bowers & Wilkins. Let's get on in. I mean, the attention to detail is beautiful. Just the materials, the stitching, the layout. It's so simple yet so elegant and luxurious. I mean, everything is perfect except for, well, I suppose it's a matter of personal taste. I think this is pointless. This is how you start it. I'm not a big fan of that, how that works either, but it doesn't matter because it does work. There's your drive mode, you push down, and then you can toggle through. That's obviously the big screen there, which is beautiful, works like a tablet as per. Okay, so here are your gauges. Lovely, configurable, you can change some of the menus. Let's get right into storage. Decent door bins. Oh, this actually looks better when everything is, there you go. But because life is life and you have to carry change and your phone and your wallet and whatever. Yeah, so there's storage in here as well. These are the only hard buttons, right? So that's it. Well, with the exception perhaps of those two, which are self-explanatory. I'm showing that to you because I'm going to attempt to explain to you one of the potential saving elements of the XC90 T8. I'll just You know, you can scroll this way and you have your apps and your sources for your audio. It's still generally slow-ish to load depending, but overall you can change some of the menus here as well. I'll just show you what's important. Okay, so this is one of your main screens, okay? So you have your park assist and all these features, and then you see what the bottom line looks like. So if you scroll back up, there you have it. That's where the battery charge hold button is. So it's out of sight and you have to remember where it is, get to it. This is different. This is to use the gasoline engine to recharge the battery if your charge is low. It's a different function. So that holds your charge as you drive. So let's get right into it. Let's go for a spin, and I'm going to try and explain what I'm trying to say. Now, driving the Volvo XC90 T8 E all-wheel drive, just like driving any other plug-in hybrid vehicle, is a very complicated, complex, and difficult thing for me. I continue to firmly believe that plug-in hybrids are nothing more than a training tool from car manufacturers to get us to get used to the idea of plugging in our cars in order to get range. I hate that. I absolutely hate that. If you're going to plug something in, get an EV. There aren't that many available. I get it, so get a hybrid. The debate continues, at least in my little head. So the thing is with the plug-in hybrids is that you have to drive it within its limited preset parameters if you want to get the most out of it. That again is like being shackled to the car because it can only do so much, right? This is a whole idea of constraint that's bugging the crap out of me. However, when I do adhere to a plug-in hybrid's limits, I get it. I totally get it. I understand. But I hate the fact that I have to be what this thing needs me to be. As far as the T8 is concerned at Volvo, well, it's not as a heavy compromise or burden or pain in the ass as it is with, for example, an Outlander PHEV. The reason being, well, the T8 has the twin-charged, supercharged, and turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder engine up front, an electric motor in the back, and a 10.4 kilowatt-hour battery right in the middle in the tunnel here. And altogether, all said, you have 400 horsepower to play with and 472 pound-feet of torque between 22 and 5,400 RPM. Now, the T8 is a true example of Jekyll Hydeness. Like right now, I'm in just plain old hybrid everyday use drive mode, which by far is the best. As far as I'm concerned, there's an individual mode too available, but I didn't even bother to program it because this is really the way to do it. That 10.4 kilowatt hour battery will give you about 42 kilometers of range. I've not managed more than 40 kilometers of range so far. So that's also part of the compromise. However, once again, there's one thing that could make a little bit more sense, and it seems like such an oversight from Volvo, putting so much emphasis on his T8 E all-wheel drive plug-in hybrid business, and that's the battery save mode. It's not here where it should be, in my opinion. It's not one of the drive modes. It's not down here like I showed you with the few switch gear buttons available, like the hard buttons. No, it's in the menu. You gotta swipe to one side, swipe up, and oh, look at that. That's odd. There's like a little battery logo, and it says hold on it. I showed it to you. This makes all the difference. And that's one thing I think Mitsubishi does better, is that the hold button is much more accessible. Now, doing that is what allowed me to do my over the weekend to get to the races road trip closing in on about 400 kilometers, which allowed me to actually drive in the village of Tremblant, Mont Tremblant, in pure EV mode. The road's about to get really nasty. In pure EV mode, and then lock out the remainder of the battery, the charge, in order to only use the gasoline/hybrid system on the highway. And then when I got back in town, I unlocked the battery and got back into driving full EV mode. And mind you, all of this is still in hybrid drive mode. Because there are, I'm going to touch on that, right? There's a constant all-wheel drive, which uses the gasoline and the electric. There's pure, which gives you maximum EV, if you will. So it relies on the charge and the electric motor. Hybrid, like I said, individual, whatever. There's power, so you get the maximum of absolutely everything. And then finally, there's an off-road mode, which I guess is gimmicky in this vehicle. Anyhow, in hybrid mode, in any drive mode, the gasoline engine is always there and available for you. I mean, if you put the hammer down, okay, in hybrid it might be a little bit slower to react, but this thing will do 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in about 5.5 seconds. So it's immensely fast. And the biggest thing for me, and I think this might show, I mean, it could depend on that day of week and the employee, whether or not, the employees, whether or not they're disgruntled, or I don't know. But this is the best driving XC90 I've driven. I've driven a 15, I've driven a 17, and here I am now in a 19. And this is the one that has the fewest rattles. In fact, I mean, I'm hearing things, but I'm not sure it's actually the truck. It's the most refined of the lot. It feels the quietest, and that's not because I drove a T6 last time and a T8 before that or whatever. This is the best sorted of the lot that I've driven so far. So maybe there are numerous constant evolving improvements made to the assembly line to make the XC90 drive better and better and better. The kicker after my long drive and working with, I'm going to unlock the battery because I'm still in town, is that I averaged 9.1 liters. Actually, when I got into town, because I went to full EV, it dropped from 9.2 to 9.1 liters per 100 kilometers. Yeah. If the last XC90 T6 I drove, I averaged just under 10 liters per 100 kilometers, or maybe 10 even. You consider the price gap, what you actually get when you do drive your, large mid-sized 3-row SUV and go to the cottage and do all that. You're not buying a T8 for the fuel economy. You're buying it for the power, the performance. That's it. Unless you actually are mindful and hit the battery hold mode as often as you can and unlock the charge so that you can actually benefit from those 40-ish kilometers of electric range. I mean, that's saying a lot, but I feel very strongly about this whole plug-in hybrid thing. And the biggest mistake, I think, is this battery hold button, which is in the completely wrong place, because it makes a considerable difference. Because if you do not lock it out, leave it in hybrid, and you drive 200 kilometers on the highway, you'll have no range left whatsoever when you get to your destination, cottage country, wherever the hell. And then you'll be polluting like any other regular hybrid, no matter what it is. So there's zero advantages to this vehicle at that point, unless you lock and unlock the electric batteries charge. Am I making any sense? I feel like I'm preaching. Anyhow, this thing is still brilliant. I absolutely love it. I mean, there's room. It's gorgeous on the inside. But I'd stick to a T6 if I really was going to get an XC90.